Okay. Hi, Yaacov.
Hi.
How are you?
Okay.
I'm so happy that we're having this discussion today because I know that you have so much experience to share with other entrepreneurs, and your journey is so interesting and so inspiring that I'm very happy that we get to have this discussion so that other people can learn from your experience and from your journey. So thank you for taking the time to do this.
My pleasure.
Okay, great. So we're going to talk about a few things in this interview. The first thing we're going to talk about is how successful you've been to move on from a brick and mortar store, and we're going to talk about what you do to move on to an online store. And with everything that's happening right now, this is a great, really success that you're doing that. The second thing we want to talk about is how important it is to focus on the long-term strategy and really keep really focusing on what's going to happen next. And I think that your journey is a great example of that. And the last thing we're going to talk about is how it has helped you to work with me as a business coach and a business mentor throughout this process. Is that okay with you that we speak about all this?
Wow, great.
Okay, so let's start with presenting yourself. Tell us, what do you do, Yaacov?
Well, name of my company is Sherlocks Hats. It's a hat store in Jerusalem. Basically, our goal right from the beginning was to create a store that would be unique in Israel. It would be a men and women's hat store of only quality hats. That is to say, hats that were not necessarily expensive, although some are, but more and really in line with quality names, including, and it's come to that, people that we have who make hats for us in Israel. So that was my goal at the get-go. And that's pretty much where we are today.
Okay. And I also think I know that you have a passion for hats and that your wife also does. Do you want to tell us more about that?
Yeah, well, certainly since we've gotten married, and that's going 47 years now, since we've been married,
Wow.
I've been buying hats for my wife. She covers her hair and we have hats. And I buy hats for everybody, including myself, obviously. And I've always had a passion for hats. It came to a certain point where after I had been in other businesses, I was looking what to do. And about 4 years ago, I noticed that I had some problem with my forehead. And I went to a dermatologist, a very well-known dermatologist in Israel. And I asked him what the problem was. And he said, I had these precancerous nodes, whatever you want to call them. And he said I had to wear a hat. And at that time, I was thinking, I want to do something. I want to keep working as long as I can. So I thinking to myself, what's a good thing to do? And I said, let me see what the world is like in the hat business.
Right.
And I started out of my, literally out of my basement garage, and then moved to, within a short time, when I saw that there was a demand, but nobody could get to my basement garage, I decided to move to a place called Wolfson. And that was 5 stories down underground, which was good for parking, but not great for people. And so therefore I spent a year there, and then I moved to King George, and that's been a big difference.
Right.
And it's allowed me also to go all over the world in search of hats that are appropriate, and especially appropriate for Israelis. And I think in a certain sense, the idea was also to teach Israelis that it's so important because of the problems of the sun and the sun's rays and the UV rays to actually go and buy a hat. And in that sense, I think we've been pretty successful.
Yes, of course, and we're going to talk about what happened until today. But first, I want to go back to when we started working together, and not in the beginning, but more recently. Can you share with everyone who's listening, what was your challenge, your last challenge when you came to work with me?
The last challenge was really how to go from a brick and mortar store to an online store. And for someone like me, that was a very big challenge, which I sincerely doubt I would have ever done by myself. Because I feel like I'm a people person. And being a people person means that you enjoy talking to people. And that you can do well in a store, but I couldn't figure out how I was going to do that online. So I was thinking about what to do, and then you presented the reality that the world was headed towards online shopping. And while I knew it consciously in my unconscious, I was secretly hoping that I could just be with the store forever. And fortunately or unfortunately, COVID came around and said, Yaacov, if you don't want to close the store, I'll close it for you. And indeed, the store has been closed quite a bit over the last 6 months. And that has led me to follow a path which you said was there all the time, and that was to start working on my online website, which we have worked very hard and which we're now in the process of not only doing in Israel, but also in the United States. Wow. And I'm discovering that a lot of the important factors that you showed me, even in the brick and mortar store, also are applicable to my online. It's just looking at it maybe with a little different head.
Definitely. And what you were saying about the challenge of being in a relationship with your clients, and you've built over the years relationship with returning customers, people that would come back to the store, people that would just pass by just to say hello and to connect with you. And so how has this been possible for you to move online? What have you done to replace this relationship level of connection? Yeah. Is it working now?
Now it is. Go ahead.
Okay. So I was saying, what have you done to replace the level of relationship that you had with your clients? Because you had a lot of people that you created great relationships with your clients. So how have you replaced that in the online store?
Well, one of the things that's clear is that most of my clients, and especially as the clientele of our store is getting younger and younger, most of our clients are very, very keen on working through the internet. So, and we have chats, we have talks, we can get together. People come to the store from the internet, or from the store go to the internet. So, and we've made it easy to purchase on the internet because we don't charge anything for sending hats. And therefore, I'm able to keep up conversation. And it's interesting, which I really didn't think. I'm not a cell phone person so much, but I'm finding that I'm able to chat for a long time with some of these people, and they are interested in continuing the relationship vis-a-vis hats, obviously, to continue the relationship and to make sure that they get what they, and I make sure that they get what they want when they want. I can offer them different kinds of things. They are very amenable to making sure that I understand what they want, and after all, it's hats. There are certain basic rules of hats, and once you get those basic rules down, everything else, as long as they trust me that it's going to look good on them, it's going to fit. That's important. It looks good, it fits. I'm honest with them. I tell them when it doesn't work. I tell them when it does work, and I find it's a terrific thing. I really do enjoy being online with people. And look, it'll take me a while to overcome the way I used to work, but I'm slowly getting there. And as the internet builds up, as my website builds up, I think I will be able to fully make the crossover at some future point.
Right. And I think that there is also the dimension of the community, right? That
Yeah.
on the internet, you can build a community and you have people following you and you can share your messages and you have so many
I do a
interesting.
lot of story blogs,
Mhm.
funny things that happen to me in the store, as well as technical things about what kind of hats you should wear and when you should wear it and how you should wear it. So if I can meld all that together, I think I will be able to have a functional and appreciative community of people who are coming in and looking at our site and basically enjoying what they see.
Of course, of
I'm in the
course.
process of making a number of short 15 to 20-second videos, all of them with a humor line, so something humorous in them. And look, we have a lot of other plans for the website because it's
Yes.
now possible to do almost anything on the website.
And it's very, very impressive to see how creative and how innovative and, you know, how bold you've been with this whole, you know, going online with the website, with social media, knowing what you said, because you were a brick and mortar person and you loved the store. But, you know, seeing that you had lemons, you basically, you know, made lemonade, right? But this lemonade is really, really amazing, the work that you've been doing and the success that you're getting online with your hat. So I think that this is a great inspiration for people who are thinking of going the same route. Now, let me ask you something. We said that we started working together, and one of your latest challenge was to go from, you know, a brick and mortar store to go to online. What did it bring you to work with me on a personal development level? And then we'll see on the business level.
Well, first of all, to be able to get um, a perspective is very important. And I needed to get a feeling that there's an order, things have to be done step by step. I have to be able to see where we're going. All these things, it's not necessarily my personality. My personality is basically to find something I like, to jump all over it, to try to do it as best I can without really thinking the steps that are necessary in order to be successful. And where I felt that I gained so much was that you could parse the parts of what needed to be done. I understood now you got to go from A to B to C, and you can't jump to C just because you feel you got up in the morning and you decided, wow, now I'm going to do something truly spectacular. But, you don't really have the back framework to do it in. So now I'm building frameworks, I'm building different kinds of areas that we have to buttress and to get better at. I understand how to subdivide my clientele. I know how to much better. I know what my clientele needs. I've developed a way of writing out who my clientele is and where they come from and what they like and doing all those things, which really was, I just didn't have an interest in. And where it's helped the most, I suppose, is hiring people. Because when I hire people, I hire them because I think they'll be the right people, but I don't really understand, and there you've helped me, what their jobs must entail. So originally, I sort of felt like, oh, well, if they don't do this, I'll do it myself. That's the old story of you think that the best person to do it is yourself. But the bottom line is in business, maybe in other things, but in business, that's not necessarily true. If you can't train people to do the job that needs to get done, then you end up wasting a lot of your time trying to get it done. So now I'm much better. I've divided my workers. I've shown each one what their position is. Not that they can't help each other, but that's their focus. And when you focus people, you also focus yourself. And that's how I feel I'm right now learning. I'm still not yet 100% there because sometimes I do wake up feeling I have to now do everything different, but I hold myself back and I say, wait, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Amazing. This is such a good advice. And believe me, not only you're not the only one like this, but all entrepreneurs, especially the creative ones and the ones that have what we call the bright, shiny objects, right? It's always something else is shining, something else is attracting, something else is interesting, right? And then we drop everything and we go run for the bright, shiny object, right? And what you're talking about now is really the discipline, the being consistent, the knowing, how to hire, who to hire, to manage a project, to go from A to B. And this is not something that we all have naturally. So it's great that you can share it like this, and that you appreciate this in your business. That's great.
I'm sorry, you were frozen that whole time.
Yeah, I know, but it's okay because I got to say the question. So tell me, another question I have for you is: we said that first, I would like to ask you, what was your biggest challenge in 2020, in the last year, and how did you overcome it?
Well, look, the biggest challenge was Corona. I mean, that was the biggest challenge in 2020. And what I did was, and I can't, success is relative. So it would have been it's more successful because I did something, but I can't say that I had such a successful year. It was a big challenge, and we were closed a massive amount of weeks and actually months. But I was able to, with your help, I was able to realize that I needed to get involved in sales in a much deeper way. I needed to be careful about how I bought in a much more important way. I needed to really look at the business and realize that, okay, maybe some of these people don't have to work full time, and maybe we have to open the store from X to Y instead of R to Y, and I've taken all those things into consideration. One of the most successful times we had was that's being loaded up with inventory when bigs. I've never done it before. I was afraid to do it, but I knew that we had all this inventory, and you explained, and I understood that when you have that much inventory, it doesn't pay to hold on to that, because even if the inventory is good, the money is lost there. So I was very successful in that whole Black Friday, Cyber Monday thing. It was super successful. Let us have 2 months of peace and quiet. But of course, COVID and the government came in again and closed us again. So I'm trying very hard to follow a pattern that will not destroy everything that I built by closing or minimizing it too much. At the same time, I don't want to be left, and that's something I'm learning to understand. I don't want to be left with too much inventory, and what I'm really doing with an eye directly towards the internet and the website, I'm buying in depth for the first time instead of width. And by that, I mean, I'm buying 20 of a hat because I know it's going to go right now in the store and on the website, instead of 10 different kinds of hats of 3 of each. Because I see already that when something is good, it's great. And if you have something and you only have 3 of it, then the greatness stops very quickly. If you have 20 of it and you're selling all 20 of it, that's really the way to go. Even if you make a mistake, one thing good about hats, thank God, is there's always somebody for every kind of hat. And now with the internet, there's a lot more somebodies for the hats that we have.
Of course. And that also allowed you to really have a broader market, because now you can sell online to people in different countries, right? So that's also something that is very beneficial from going online.
Right. Right. We had people, sporadically from America, from England, from France, who bought a hat or two, but it wasn't anything real. Now, if we get into America, I think that we will be. I'm hoping and I'm looking towards it, and we're building our website towards it to be successful in terms of the hats.
Yep, exactly. So tell me, last question, Yaacov, because there's so much we can learn from your experience and from your journey. If you had to speak to entrepreneurs today, what would be the best advice that you would give them in order to be successful themselves?
That's a very good question. I think the major thing is to provide leadership in your company. And by that, I mean that you set a goal for the company, for the people in the company that everybody understands and is aware of. You don't deviate in any great way from those goals. And you get someone either on your team or outside your business that you can bounce ideas off of, and someone who can see what's missing in the scenario you're presenting. Because ultimately, nobody can consider all the options, but there are a lot of options. And therefore, somebody who is a specialist in business, who understands business, and especially if someone understands your business, that will help to create a much more solid type of company, one that is geared towards success.
Wow, thank you so much, Yaacov. This is precious.
Pleasure.
This is really amazing advice and so inspiring. I know that a lot of people during the corona will have or have had to move their business from whatever they were doing to being more online, whether it's the marketing or the selling. And your story is such an amazing story of how it's possible to manage the transition, to keep the store, of course, because you don't want to lose anything, but also to move towards an online business. So I think it's really inspiring. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your wisdom.
Thank you.
And we will be in touch very soon. Bye, Yaacov.
Bye.